Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very
Of
welcome. I mean,
course.
welcome to our show, Kicking Tables. We want to talk to you about High Noon, obviously. That's your game coming on, was it March 5th, right? March 5th it's
That's
coming?
right. That's right.
It's
That's right.
coming up fast. Are you excited? Are you ready?
I I don't think anybody's really ready. It's like a baby, it's like a child. You're never
You're,
ever going to be ready for it. You just got to do it.
you just got to do it. I mean, how
Yeah.
long have you been working on High Noon? Tell us a bit about the game.
I've been working on it for about 3 years,
Wow.
and um, uh, so I have to change my brain gears because those are two different conversations. So the game is it's a turn-based. Some people have called it now a a non-cooperative dungeon crawler set in the Wild West. I think that's my new favorite
Ooh, I
description.
like that description.
Yeah.
That's a great description.
Yeah, when I tell people it's a miniatures tactical combat game and for good cowboys, they're like, "Oh, that's cool." But when I read this
Yeah,
description, I'm like, "Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome." Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it
that gets you
is.
excited about
I'll
it.
have
The
that.
new description.
Yeah, Chico's all over that non-cooperative piece.
Like, listen, there's an opportunity to shoot people in the back with a gun. I'm gonna do it.
Oh man, gun, face, neck, leg. You can shoot him anywhere. You can stab him. You can fire arrows at him. You can club him. Actually, I have this guy right here. He's gonna be blurry, but he
Yeah.
punches
Yeah.
him with fists.
Nice.
So anything to do damage. I'm an old school gamer. Like I'm learning as I create this game and get it out into the market. I'm learning all the different like the kaleidoscope of gamers that are out there. So like when I first launched it, after spending 2.5 years, there's no going back. This is what the game is, and people are
Right.
like, "Where's the solo play?" And I was
Ha!
like, "What? Go find friends. Like go outside. What are you doing?" And
Yeah,
then,
nobody has
but
friends because of the pandemic, though. That's the problem.
that yeah, okay, that's the reason.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what
okay.
I'm blaming it on.
Listen, I'm an unlikable guy. I don't have friends. There you go. I'll own it. No, but I get it. Like now, I've gotten into it. Like I understand. And I've played a few single player games. And actually, I set out after I finished the game because there's actually a 10-year plan for the game, and
Wow.
the game in 10 years is not going to resemble anything like it is now. You'll still be able to play this version of the game with that version of the game, but it will have like grown up, so to
Okay.
speak.
Oh, yeah.
And so once I hammered the game out, then I was like, okay, now I can set aside time to build the single player slash co-op version, like expansion of this game. And so I've been play testing that with some guys on Tabletopia, and I see it.
Nice.
I understand I've started to understand the appeal to that. And now, like the very first review that came out, they were like, "Yeah, but the cards don't fit the tray after I sleeve them."
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
sleeve them? What are you doing? And now I'm realizing there's people who sleeve
Oh yes.
cards.
Oh
There's people who
yeah.
Yeah,
sleeve
I'm
everything. Yeah.
I am so not cool. I am not a cool guy. I do not. I'm learning though.
So tell us a bit about the game and the gameplay. What are you doing in High Noon?
So High Noon in High Noon in especially like the initial rollout, the core set. You are competing against your friends or adversaries for gold. Your objective is to end the game, and the game is 12 rounds. Finish 12 rounds
Okay.
with the most gold, or be the last posse standing. And
Okay.
so each player chooses a posse, and a posse is a collection of little guys, and women and girls and whatever, that
People.
are, yeah, people, not meeples though. These are actual
All
people.
minis.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah, actual
Nice.
little minis,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
there's different sizes ranging anywhere from one person posse to I think my largest posse is six. So it's very asymmetrical, and each posse has their own unique play style, their own special abilities and things that they do.
Okay.
And you get gold two ways. You get gold by killing a character on the table, or by dealing damage on your turn.
So are you
And
and you're fighting against other players?
Right,
Okay.
right. Yep. Each player has their own posse, and all the posses are on the field, and
Okay.
they're all going at it.
All right.
It's a
So
big battle royale.
there's no, I guess what you'd call NPCs. There's no enemies that are just belong to the game. It's the enemy are the other players.
Right, and that's really where when I developed the co-op slash single player version, it allows you to convert different posses into NPCs,
Okay.
which I'm calling like APCs. They're like augmented player characters.
Yep. Yep.
So because the player still has to move them,
Right.
but they have their own directives and
They
their
have
own
rules.
right,
Yep.
right. Yep.
Very cool.
But not in the core game. Yeah, in the core game, it's all people's.
So tell me about your inspiration for this. Were you a big Western fan growing up? Where did High Noon, does this just spark in your head? It's like there's not enough Western games out there? Because I don't think there's enough Western games out there personally. I absolutely love this genre.
I love westerns. I've always loved. I've always found western like to be the most romantic genre of anything. And so and I love the marriage that it has to like the old samurai, like especially the classic films. They were birthed from these beautiful Japan, samurai films.
Yeah.
So I love the ideas of, anti-heroes, and the classic these classic villains that I mean, they're either black and white or they're very complicated, but you still know they're a villain, and you know that, and then at the end at that point it's like a hero's journey. I love the hero's journey, and now I'm going to stop myself before I ramble. But when I set out, I was really just trying to make a game, and then I was like, well, what setting do I want it in? And full disclosure, here's the story. Okay, ready for the story?
Yes.
I'm sitting around with a group of guys, and we're like, what do we do? We're bored. And I was like, oh man, I got this awesome board game we're gonna play. And they're like, okay, what is it? I'm like, have you ever heard of Epic Duels? And they were like, no. And I'm like, I'm about to blow your mind. And I went over to my cabinet and I opened it up. I was like, gentlemen, behold the empty cabinet. Where is my Epic Duels? So then I couldn't find it anywhere. And I obsessed over that, and I checked every place I'd ever been. Like I checked all my parents' house. I went over there, like, did I leave my game here? I called all my friends. Did I let you borrow my game? Nobody had it. And I was like, okay, fine. I sat down. I'm ordering it on the Amazons, and it's like, $300. Yeah,
not available anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if that wasn't a thing? If like that kind of game was around. And so that's kind of what I wanted to. I wanted to create a game that was very easy for anybody. Like my friends were not gamers. Those guys that were there at the time, they did not play board games, and that's why I wanted to bring that in. So I wanted to create a game that was very easy to open up out of the box and just put the pieces down, and you're playing within minutes, and anybody can pick it up. And learn it and master it, and then you finish it, and you're like, I want to play again. And then every game is different. That's I wanted replayability and accessibility, and I was, and I can't make it Star Wars. I don't own that. So I was like, let's do westerns. So there we are.
Awesome.
Thus, High Noon was born.
Now, I understand this is actually a relaunch of your Kickstarter. You had the Kickstarter up last year. Has anything changed since then, or what have you learned since that first attempt and going into it now?
Is that
a loaded question?
That's a show in itself. I mean, it's loaded with a very fun fireworks, but that I don't mind exploring. But it's a very long story. I learned a lot. That was quite a journey. The first campaign. It was a learning experience. I have a good team as well behind me. My best friend is involved and from childhood. And this whole thing really tested every relationship that we had. And so I learned, I mean, if there was one thing I learned that, nothing's more important than family. So, that campaign needed to be put down. There was, there were some obligations that were made, and we would not have been able to fulfill those obligations. And I was not about to launch into this market with launch into any industry, you know, where the only thing you have is your reputation,
Right.
and then just destroy it. There was the team was slightly larger back then, and there was other leadership. So when I saw the writing on the wall, I took the reins, kind of cleaned up house, and relaunched. But having said that, one thing I did was I knew, like, we'd achieved funding, you know, like we had reached our goal, and there was questions. I knew that there would be questions about why would somebody cancel a campaign if they've already reached funding. So to overcome anything there, and let people know that no, I'm really setting out to make a game here. I'm not playing games. I mean, the only game I'm playing
is High Noon.
High Noon, which I'm pointing with the wrong
other way. There it is. There it is.
There.
Right beside the AT-AT.
That's right. Exactly. The two greatest things ever to be. No, I kid. You know, what I did was I said, if you backed my project last time, we didn't take your money. You know, Kickstarter didn't take your money, but you believed in me enough. Some guy that you don't know. You believed in the pictures that were on the page and thought, yeah, I'm going to give obscene amounts of money. I mean, if you saw the campaign, you saw these pledge tiers were like $300. Wow. It was like $100 just to get the game. And people are like, I don't know who you are. And Kickstarters are scams all the time. Here, take my money. Yeah. So I said, you know, if that was you were somebody who backed my project, I'm giving you a free game. So, wow. I actually went into production on the core game, the starter set, and I reserved. There was roughly 500 people who had pledged to get us over the first campaign. So I created a data sheet, you know, with all their names and emails. And actually, this last week, I've been reaching out. I've been collecting them all, gathering them all together, just to make sure that all the shipping information is ready. And we will be dishing out up to and around 500 copies of this game to these people, just to show that, like, we are who we say we are.
That's incredible, Dwight.
So that's the first thing that we're doing that's new. We're giving away a bunch of stuff. The second thing is it's way more accessible. So day one, I mean, these prices are so. I mean, the game has like 14 minis, a ton of like 200 and something cards. My board tiles are polystyrene. They're not like traditional cardboard or anything. They're like a very durable plastic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, so they're waterproof and all that. And I've passed it around to a bunch of stores, and they're like, this is $60 easy. So our first day, you can get the game for like $40. And so that's another thing we're doing. No more of this like $100 entry fee to get our game. It's going to be very affordable right out the gate.
That is honestly, that's fantastic. I don't know any other company that would do something like that when they're relaunching a Kickstarter. So that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of the people that are supporting you is the key thing. I mean, we were actually just chatting the other day about, you know, Kickstarters where people just disappear. You know, they get funded and they just disappear. No communication. So you know, that's huge, and you know, I think that's gonna turn around very nicely for you when you launch. You know, in a few days.
And don't get me wrong, you know, I mean, there's definitely a publicity angle here.
Of course,
you know, it's goodwill.
Of course. Yeah, well, that's just it, though. It's a goodwill campaign is really what it comes down to. It's not a fake marketing campaign. It's a goodwill campaign, and that's gonna get some really great reviews, and people are gonna speak very highly of you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So I want to ask. I noticed when I was taking a look at the Kickstarter that the box says 4-player starter set. So can you tell us a little bit about what starter set means in regards to that? How many more sets are planned, and how do they work?
Yeah. That's pretty much. I mean, you're onto it. So there's I think my count. I'm always coming up with new posses. Like I'm always coming up with like, oh, that'd be cool. And actually, my goal is to introduce a bunch of these expansions to the point where people go, I get it, and then they start to understand the mechanics, and then they start making their own posses. And then I want to like release like a create your own posse, you know, app, and then just give them the tools to really just go to town in the universe. But as far as the High Noon universe and timeline, there's about 50 expansions planned.
Wow.
Whether they're posses, whether they're tile sets, whether they're supplements. Like we do have. I'm glad that Zombicide has finally come around. We have our own zombie version called High Fever.
Nice.
And
I love the zombies.
That's planned. And we've got the RPG supplement, so you'll actually be able to level up your little miniatures as you're playing.
Very cool.
And so we will really go all into the dungeon crawl, and it'll be at that point it can be co-op or not, whatever you want. So all the things that we're rolling out basically lay the framework for the next thing to roll out. So the co-op mechanics, that supplement will then lay the foundation for me to be able to then roll out the role-playing game supplement. The posses themselves, they also introduce different mechanics. So like I've got this posse of they're like liberated escorts, so to say. I'll just say they're called the Bandero Blondes, and they come with their game tile as a bordello, and it has like a balcony on it. So they introduce the mechanic of elevation, and then a bunch of posses come in after that. There's characters that introduce, hazardous terrain. Then once we get all those different types of terrain styles, then we just start rolling out the terrain expansions. So the idea is you don't have to own all of this. You don't have to own any of it. You could the game stands on its own. Okay. So you could just get the 4-starter set and be fine. But if there are posses that expansion posses that really speak to people. If you like really up close, hand to hand, like get in the grit kind of fighters, we have a samurai posse for that. We've got a ninja posse. We've got a posse that's really good for making people second guess where they move. If you want to control, get in people's heads. There's a posse, there's a hunter, he has some wolves and he lays traps, and every time you move, he's like, oh, you stepped on a bear trap. And then we have right down to the governor McGrady, and every one of his abilities is basically political favors that he gets other people around the table to do for him. And so while everybody else is vying for gold, he's vying for votes. He's trying to win some election. And so he is a perfect kind of posse for somebody who prides themselves as a politician, thinks he can get people to he can manipulate people to do what he wants. So there's going to be a bunch of these kind of expansions. They're all going to speak to a certain person, and that's kind of the vision for High Noon. Is there's something for everyone.
Are any of these going to be available during the Kickstarter, or are these coming later? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We've got so in the first 3 pledge tiers of the Kickstarter, there are 3 expansion packs. And in each one, it's a group of gunslingers. They're like bounty hunters. They come with a game tile that is a gunsmith. There's a group of hillbilly moonshiners. They come with a game tile. Every posse comes with a starting tile, is what I'm saying without saying it. So their starting tile is a general store. And then we have this posse that it's kind of like my homage to Ned Kelly. The armored Australian guy. I have him in here somewhere. I could pull him out. But basically, he's a dude just wearing nothing but armor. And so his posse comes with a blacksmith tile. And so then what that is doing is that's those different posses, they don't necessarily have all 2 different, insanely crazy, different mechanics, but their game tiles are the tiles required for the marketplace. So once those tiles are on the board, you can now buy items to equip to your guys,
right?
To get things.
Because now you've got a blacksmith, and you've got all the the other stores and stuff. Very cool.
Right, exactly. So those tiers, those expansions will be available right in the tiers, and then as we unlock stretch goals, the stretch goals will be other expansion posses.
Awesome.
And what is you said you have a 10-year plan. What's the frequency of sort of releasing new content that you envision?
Well, that depends on really the marketplace. We could launch this and there's no interest whatsoever, and then the 10-year plan is pretty much what you see. It's whatever I have left in my warehouse as I slowly trickle it out on eBay. That's my 10-year plan. But what I'd like to do, what we're doing with High Noon and with Kickstarter is we're trying to launch the retail the retail presence.
Okay.
There's a lot of games that, and this is not a critique, but there's a lot of games that, or like companies like Come On, where their business model is Kickstarter, and everything that they release is a Kickstarter exclusive. And so when you're unlocking these stretch goals, you're really just unlocking the stretch goals because you're hoping you're going to get that before the Kickstarter ends, because after that, it's gone. It's whatever it was, and that's it.
Yeah.
What we're doing is everything that we're unlocking, we're going into mass production to hit the Walmarts and the Targets and the game, and really the brick and mortar stores, the game stores.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if we're a hit in Kickstarter, if the marketplace at Kickstarter says yes, we love High Noon, then this is what I'm going to do. Day in, day out, I'll be rolling out the expansions. I would say every couple of months.
That is awesome. So the Kickstarter starts next week.
Yep.
March 5th. Actually, by the time you're seeing this, it's this week. So check it out in just a couple of days. Yeah, it sounds awesome, honestly. I am really stoked for this game, Dwight. Thank you so much for explaining it all to us. You have an amazing vision, and I cannot wait to see this become reality for you. And I really do hope that 10-year plan becomes reality, because you've got some amazing sounding goals. And good luck with your campaign, and thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute honor. Hey everybody, OMG Nexus just had me here. You don't know who I am because you probably didn't watch the video before this, but I'm Dwight Cenac with High Noon Game, and I have approximately 14 seconds left to tell you that you really need to sign on to OMG Nexus, because if you don't, I'm pretty sure that's them outside right now. You've got 10 seconds now to subscribe right now. Hang on, 7 seconds, subscribe. Click, comment, like below, follow, do all the things for OMG Nexus. They are amazing. They're amazing. Please hurry and subscribe.